Hurricane Helene's deadly warning. This is a video rebuttal to PBS's Frontline video that you see right here. I'm Artifacts of Mars, and this is a Hogwash award.
That's all, folks.
Now, this starts out giving you the heartbreaking details of people lost everything because of Hurricane Helene. And the so-called investigative reporter is named Laura Sullivan. I'll switch over to her. Alright, this is a woman we saw in the video. Laura Sullivan is an NPR News investigative correspondent whose work has cast a light on some of the country's most disadvantaged people. Which means she's a leftist. Sullivan is one of NPR's most decorated journalists, with 3 Peabody Awards and 2 Alfred DuPont Columbia University silver batons. She joined NPR in 2004 as correspondent on the National Desk. For 6 years, she covered crime and punishment issues, with reports airing regularly on Morning Edition, All Things Considered, and other NPR programs before joining NPR's investigations unit. So she's basically your average PBS leftist. So I watched this video, and this woman makes these claims again and again that Hurricane Helene and these other hurricanes are being caused by global warming. In other words, you get in your car, start it up, drive down the highway, you're causing hurricanes and these devastating storms like they never happened again. Well, I did a little digging. Let's take a look. Alright, this site's not being terribly cooperative. WCNC.com. North Carolina, obviously. North Carolina is no stranger to flooding. Every year, floods happen across the state. Sometimes the setup lines are perfectly leading to catastrophic historical flooding. So, this woman is claiming, Laura Sullivan is claiming that these are caused by your tailpipe. Well, I would say not. We reached out to Corey Davis, NC State's University Assistant Climatologist, to inquire what were the worst flooding events in North Carolina history. Below were his findings and honorable mentions. Here's one that's a little more recent than some of them. Hurricane Florence, September 2018. In terms of rainfall, amounts, and duration, flooding in extent and severity, no other event comes close to Florence. Storms low to crawls moved inland and dropped more than 12 inches. Rainfall across sand hills and southern coastal plain. Nearly 3 feet of rain in hardest hit parts of Layden, Onslow, and Carteret counties. The Noise and Cape Fear rivers and the tributaries simply had no way to handle that much water, so they reached record crests and the water spilled over in towns, farms, and even interstates for days and weeks after the storm. Hurricane Matthew, October 2016. This was a big one. While the eye of the storm never made landfall in North Carolina, it pumped an ample amount of moisture off the Atlantic and produced more than a foot of rainfall in areas like Fayetteville that were already wet after tropical storms Herman and Julia, as well as several heavy rain showers in the month before Matthew. So the point is, the state is rather prone. Hurricane Floyd. September 1999, Floyd was first, but as we see it now, 23 years later, not the only hurricane to cause significant inland and freshwater flooding in North Carolina. So we're going to skip down. Mountain flooding, July 1916. In this documentary from PBS, Lord Sullivan claims that there's no such thing as mountain flooding until now, of course, and that it's global warming that caused it. But according to this source, mountain flooding, July 1916, combination of two tropical systems, one from the Gulf and another from the Atlantic, drenching the mountains over the course of a week, created significant flooding in mid-July 1916. The Asheville area was hit the hardest, as French Broad River reached an estimated 23-foot crest, more than 5 feet above its major flood stage. Along the Catawba River, flooding was enough to wipe out bridges and railroad trestles, and dozens of Southern Railway workers died in the cleanup from the storm. So then you had one from 1960, Second Great Flood, August 1940, so named because it happened to us 24 years after the July 1916 flood. In the same region, this 1940 event had a similar setup, with moisture from remnants of a hurricane rising over mountain slopes and producing heavy rain and flooding. See, that state is very prone to these types of storms. Now let's take a look at New York City. This is another place you mentioned with Hurricane Sandy. Now you have to understand New York City is right on the coast, so they're going to be more vulnerable to hurricanes. 1821 hurricane. Industrial Revolution really hadn't happened yet. But again, since this individual is saying that global warming is causing the hurricanes by default, she's pretty much saying that it's caused that hurricane. If she would have studied her history, she wouldn't have made these. She would have been a lot more careful about making these claims. In 1 hour, one of the only hurricanes believed to have passed directly over parts of modern New York City made landfall on September 3, 1821. In 1 hour, the tide rose 13 feet and inundated Lours, crossing the East River to meet the Hudson River across lower Manhattan as far as Canal Street. This flooding was concentrated in neighborhoods with far fewer homes than exist today. Few deaths were attributed to the storm. 1893. Category 1 destroyed Hog Island, a resort island off Rockaways in southern Queens in 1893. 1938. I have a Category 3 hurricane passed over Long Island and into New England, killing nearly 200 people. 1954, Hurricane Carol. 1960, Hurricane Donna. These were a long time ago, folks. Connie and Diane. 1972, Agnes. I remember that one. We got drenched where I was living. 1985, Gloria. Need I go on? These areas are just prone to this type of thing. Now, Hurricane Helene was a very big storm. But you can't expect to dodge things forever. Sooner or later, something's going to happen. When you're in an area where you're prone to it. But Laura Sullivan just makes all these claims that it's our cars that are causing these storms, and she has zero evidence. I'm an evidence-based person. And of course, PBS is well-known. PBS, NPR are well-known leftists. There's no question of that. So, I'm going to end it. I went a little longer than I wanted to. This is my rebuttal to the frontline Hurricane Helene's deadly warning and all that. And we've built an awful lot. And we're going to continue to have more problems simply because we're building human habitats in places that get hit by weather. That's where it's at. I'm Artifacts of Mars. Thanks for watching. This has been my rebuttal to PBS.